Hi guys. I just thought I would show you a few stretches that I do to help with chronic pain. I've researched through some chiropractors, some physical therapists, and some yoga instructors, and I've put together some stretches that seem to help me the most. I try to do these 2 to 3 times a week. If you can do more, great. Sometimes I only get in one time a week, but the more you do it, the better your joints will feel. If I have to choose between stretching and exercise, for time reasons, I always choose the stretching first, because I do think that I feel better with the stretching alone than I do if I exercise alone. So let's just go ahead and get started. First thing I usually do is stretch my neck. I'll take my hair down for that, because I do pull on my hair to stretch my neck. So I just lay my head over the edge of the bed. Oh, and I flop my arms out and I just rest, relax. If I've got time to do it for a few minutes, I do. Sometimes I don't have time, and sometimes I have to make everything really quick. So then I grab my hair right at the top and I just pull a little traction. Some people don't like to pull on their hair. I hated it initially, but then I got used to it. And actually it stimulates some blood flow to your scalp when you pull on it, which does help with skin health and scalp health. So, I mean, I'm not yanking hard. I'm just giving a little traction. And after I do that for a little while, then I set up, and I am going to put my hair back up. Usually I don't care as much, but it kind of gets in my way when I'm doing some of my other stretches. So I'm going to put my hair back up. So just doing that little traction. Now when I first started doing the traction, my neck would pop and crack, and it does not do that anymore. Apparently I kind of keep it stretched out enough. So then I lift my shoulders up and I rotate my neck 4 times clockwise and then counterclockwise. I'm going to go through these pretty quick because they do take a little time. And then after that, I roll my shoulders as hard as I can. I usually do that for about 5 times, and then I roll forward with them. I mean, I'm throwing them as hard around as I possibly can. And then I push down on the shoulder and I tilt my head to the side. Really getting a good stretch right through here with that. And then I do the other side. And then I drop my head forward, keeping my shoulders back, and just relax my neck and rock it side to side. And then I tilt it to the back and rock it side to side. This one to me hurts the worst. Alright. So then working on down my spine just a little, I reach as forward and bow my back as much as possible, and then I pull back as far as possible, and I do that 2 to 4 times, again just depending on how much time I have. Sometimes I have a lot of time, and sometimes I'm really pressed for time. Oh yeah, that feels good. Now I'm going to pull on my shoulders just a little bit. My shoulders do have some torn rotator cuffs, so this helps a lot. So I bring my arm across and I grab from the top and I grab my elbow and I relax this arm. I'm doing all the work with the arm that's holding the elbow, and I rotate it. I'm just kind of putting traction and rotation at the same time. And then I put it over my head and I just press it down. Then I do the other side the same way. Pull, traction, and rotate it. All the work should be done with the arm that's holding the elbow. over my head and press down. And then again, I just always, oh yeah, that was a good pop. I just really work those shoulders. Okay, so then working on down, I save my hands for last because I do some massages with my hands. So the next thing I do is I start doing some lymphatic massages on my head. So I put pressure right here. I might get a little closer to the camera so you can see this. So I put pressure right here. Just hold that for a minute. And then I put my hand right in this area and press on that. All of this is going to help drain your sinuses. And then I pinch my eyebrows. Pinch and pull. Pinch and pull. Pinch and pull. Pinch and pull. And that helps drain part of your sinuses down. And then I take my fingers and I press down my base. And that helps drain that. Again, I do all of this to keep my sinuses cleared out, and it helps a lot. And then right at the edges of my nose, I press upward. Up. Oh, not pretty looking. Didn't say it was pretty looking. Oh, this one kind of hurts. Oh, okay. So once you've done that, press to the side, press to the side, and then you're going to hit these where your lymphatic system starts draining, almost right at your jaw joint, temporomandibular jaw joint. You just put some pressure there. And press on down. Just going down. Again, this is going to help drain your lymphatics, help your sinuses drain down. Underneath just a little. Then when I get underneath, you also have some lymphatic drainage on the top and below your jaw. So I put pressure on both of those places. I usually do it like this. So pressure, pressure, pressure. I might have to let my cat in because he's going to meow. And then right down this portion, you can feel there's a lymph system that runs right down through here. So I just pinch, massage downward. Pinch, massage downward. I pinch pretty good. Oh, it's sore, but I do feel it. It helps that drain out a lot. That one feels good. I've had a lot less sinus issues since I've started doing this. Okay. Now, your clavicle, your collarbones, there's lymphatic drainage in there. So I put pressure there. I press down, I'll put my head up. Again, right in those clavicles. Press down and look up. And then when your clavicles come together, I put pressure there and look up. I put a pretty significant amount of pressure, you can kind of see. Look up. That was very relaxing to me. All right. So then I start working down because, again, this is all for muscle release, joint release, and lymphatic release. So then I lay back and I massage my abdomen. So the very first one I do once I lay down is, I'll show you. I don't know if you can see on this. Okay. I think I'm still in camera. I go from right under my rib and I go upward toward my xiphoid process, toward your sternum. So I just follow those ribs and go upward. Put a significant pressure to do that. That drains your internal lymphatic system. And then along your pelvic bone, you're just going to do the same thing and go towards your pelvis one. And I usually do it about 3 or 4 times, pretty hard. And then I repeat that to the other side. So I'm going around my ribs on the other side, and then I'm going around my pelvic bone. But I'm putting the pressure on my abdomen. Okay. Then I'm going to sit up so I can show you these pressure points. My lymphatic drainage, right on the abdominal side of your pelvis, there's lymphatic drainage there. So I put pressure in that area, but I do that laying down. So put pressure right on the inside and massage it. And then I put pressure right at where my pelvis comes together and massage that. And then I put my fingers right in my belly button and push down and massage. And then I'll put my fingers right where my ribs come together at my sternum. Put pressure, massage. And then I massage, depends on how you're looking at it, I massage in the same way that your colon would go, up and over. And I just make pressure points and massage all the way around that area. So let's start almost where your appendix might be, and a massage. Now these I don't press quite as hard because I wiggle my hands a lot. And it just releases. Also helps stimulate GI motility, helps prevent constipation. I'll just go all the way around doing that. So I make a complete circle, and then I put my fingers back on those initial lymphatic drainage just right above your pelvic bone, and massage that just one more time. And that's all I'll do for that. Okay, now working down my spine. Now I'm going to do, I don't do a whole lot for my lower back because I do think the main lower back problems people have is actually the sacroiliac junction where your pelvis attaches to your spine, and we do a lot of stretches for that. So how I do this when I just cross my legs and grab my knee, of course, you've probably done this plenty of times yourself. I just try to relax, and then I put a little pressure. Relax and put a little pressure. Then I cross over and do the other side. Relax, put a little pressure. Relax, put a little pressure. Okay. And then going down, I usually start stretching out my upper thighs. Before we start that, let's go ahead and do our lymphatic massage. So, I don't know if you are in camera, so I'm going to slide you back a little so you can see this. See if that still has me here. Okay. So, now, just right below the pelvis, like your pelvic bone is here, right at almost where your panty line would be. Put your fingers in there because that's some good lymphatic massage. Massage that area pretty hard. Just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle it back and forth. Just going to loosen all that lymphatic tissue, help it drain out. Okay. And then I do peeling. It's peeling of your muscles. It's where you squeeze and kind of roll your hands off and what that does, it causes the fascial release from the muscle. So it does help prevent muscle tears. It helps loosen the muscles up. But in secondary benefit, you get it kind of helps with some cellulite too. So I grab at the top portion of my thigh. I grab and squeeze and roll. Squeeze and roll my hands off. And I go up and down the leg, just grabbing and squeezing, and let my fingers roll off, and then I chop it. And I try to do that 3 times in each section. You'll see what I mean. Chop. And muscle pull or muscle peel. Don't really know the word. I know they use the word peeling. So then I go to the side of my thigh and I do the same thing. I will say it is easier to do if you don't have material on your thigh. So I find it easier to do if I have shorts. But with the camera angle, I didn't want to be having shorts on for this. Again, I'm just grabbing, I grab and I pull, grab and I pull, pull. And that's how I just do that portion. I'm going to do it 3 times. 3 times down the top, 3 times down the side, then 3 times on the inner leg. You can bruise yourself. I sometimes bruise myself because I'm kind of easy to bruise. And I'm pinching fairly hard. You can almost feel hear my fingers go across all that material. Okay, I don't know if I chopped it every time, but I got kind of lost while I was talking, so I'll do this side. So I go down the center portion, and I chop. Portion. And chop. And chop. Lateral or outside portion. And this is why I wait till the end to do my hand stretches, because my hands get tired doing some of these lymphatic massages. And inner thighs. It's easier for me to do the inner thighs. I have more to grab. Now, continuing on with the lymphatic drainage, I thought we'd just go ahead and do that before we do our thigh stretches. On the back of your leg, right on the back portion of your knee, I just stick my fingers in that portion like this, and then I rest my leg on it and just work my fingers like this in that area, because there's lymph nodes on the back of your knee. And then after I do that, put my thumbs and my hands around my calves, and I press my thumbs into my calf, and I press, all the way down them, just releasing everything. Helps with your lymphatic drainage. It's supposed to help with if you have varicose veins. Okay, same thing on this side. Fingers into the crook of your leg where your lymph node would be, and just wiggle them, massage that, and then squeeze down your calf. Stretch out our thighs. So So the first thing I do to stretch out my thighs is I bow my leg back, and do wherever, if you're only comfortable with that portion, then stop there. As far as you can go back and stretch that thigh. Hold it for a little minute. And then do the other thigh. I'm going to have to slide over. Now to me that one's a hard stretch. That kind of hurts. And then this one, I am going to lean back because I really want you to see what my legs are doing. So it's going to look like a strange pose. But I put my legs apart and then I let my knees fall in. And what that does is it puts pressure on your pelvis and causes it to kind of spread apart. So I put my legs apart, my knees together, and I just let them go in as far as they possibly can. And you'll feel sometimes it'll put pressure right here and kind of feels like it's almost popping your hip out. But it's just to stretch that out. Then I put my legs like this. I'm going to do it with this ankle. And I just bring them up. Helping stretch out your muscles in your pelvis, especially your abductors here. And then I'm going to do it from this angle so it's not as vicious looking. And then I bring my knees up to my chest. And then I take one leg up and straighten it as much as I can. I'll push a little with my hand to straighten that knee out. Just walk it. So that's going to be releasing the tension in your hamstring. Definitely, if you get the tension out of your hamstrings, that helps with lower back pain. I'll do the other side. Then I try to just grab both and just stretch it as much as you can. I don't like static stretches. I'm always doing some kind of motion. and maybe you like to hold your still, but I do think I get a better stretch if I'm wiggling something. And I just go back and forth, stretching and stretching. Then I grab my feet and push my knees down as far as I can, opening all that up. And I open it this. And I take my hands and actually push my legs apart. Out to my ankles. Wiggle, wiggle. Back to this. Back to this. Just hold it for just a minute. Now, I'm going to show you how to really release your lumbosacral joint. Your lumbosacral joint is very important. So I usually put my legs my hips pretty close to the edge of the bed, lean back, ball up, and then drop one leg as far as I can. That should help stretch that psoas muscle, and which tension in that psoas muscle will cause a lot of back pain. And also you want it to pop. You'll feel a thud popping if you do it enough. Back and forth with that. Keep this foot leg as high up as you can and push this leg down as far as you can. knee is high up, straight leg down as far as can. And then I swap legs, do the other side. To me, this is the side I have the most pain with. So it's the one I can't seem to push down quite as far. But this right here to me is key. This is key to all my back pain. Keeping that psoas muscle stretched and making certain I don't get too much of a arthritic bridge or a fusion of that lumbosacral, not lumbosacral, but sacroiliac joint. It's called a SI joint for short. More important than anybody knows. Okay, then I ball my fist up. I put them right under my pelvis. And then I just drop both legs down at the same time. And that really causes that sacroiliac joint. In fact, I'm just going to show you where my hands are. They're right here, right at the, well, you can kind of feel where your spine meets your pelvis. I put them right there. And again, and then I just drop them down. And I'll just do that just a couple of times just to open up those joints. If you were close to me, you could hear it popping. It pops a lot. All right, now to continue stretching out that psoas, put one knee up, one leg back, and stretch that. You can rock it side to side, but you want to stretch that. All right, same thing on the other side. Stretch. And the reason I'm showing you all this on my bed, these are what I do before I wake up in the morning. So I don't have to make a special routine. I don't have to have a special place. I do it on my bed before I get up in the morning. So when I get up, I'm ready to go. All right. So now I'm going to work on the knees a little bit. There's some stretches for the knees. I'm going to go to the side just a little, make a fist, and I put it in 3 different places. I put it here, put it directly on the back, and then put it on the side. And I close my leg down over top of it. So I've got it on the inner aspect of my knee. I bend that leg and I take my other leg and I push it down because I am trying to open up my knee joint. So again, now I move my fist to the center. I push it down. Then I move my fist to the outer edge. And then I repeat that on the other leg. Middle, push it down. Push it down. And push it down. And while I'm working the knees, while I'm stretching the knees, then I used to do these on the floor. You will get a little bit of a better stretch, but it hurts my feet to do it. So this, I try to sit in between my feet. So my feet are on the outside, and then I take my butt and I go in between my feet. Now, this one, of course, I couldn't nearly do until I had been doing it for a little while to stretch my knees out. I started out just going down as far as I could and holding it until I could gradually go all the way back and sit in between my feet. Now that one really works, but if you want even a better stretch, I put my feet out like a turtle and then sit in between them. And that's a much harder stretch on my inner knee. But again, this is just, don't hurt yourself. Only do what you can do. And that stretches my knees out. And as a rule, that's all I do for my knees. All right, so now my knees are stretched, my hips are stretched, my legs are massaged. Now I'm going to move to my feet, and I am going to tilt this down so you can see what I do for my feet. Hopefully this will work. Because your feet are very important. Okay, so I take my hand and I pull my pinky toe over, and then I massage in between those bones, and then I pull my second toe over and I massage down my foot in between those bones. And I'm pulling pretty hard. I'm separating my toes pretty nicely, and then going down in between the bones all the way down to my heel. And then once I have done that in between each one of those and loosened up that soft tissue, I pull my toes back and I put pressure right at the base of my toes across the ball of my foot. And then on this inner aspect of the arch, I push forward from my heel to my toes as far as I could, or from the heel up to this ball as hard as I can, loosening up all that fascia and all those tendons. And then I take my fingers and I grab my toe and I pull it and rotate it. I do that on every toe. Getting those toes all stretched out, loosening up those feet. Okay, and then there is a pressure point right at the heel of your foot on the inner aspect. I put pressure on that. And then there's a pressure point right your ankle bone, on the back portion of your ankle bone. I put pressure with my thumb on that, and then I take my hand and I rotate my ankle as hard as I can, clockwise, and then counterclockwise. Don't loosen it all up, because your ankles are so important. Your ankles, if they get tight and tense, you're more likely to fall, because your ankles need mobility and flexibility in order for you to maintain your balance. So same thing on the other foot. I pull the little toe over and I put pressure on all the soft tissue down to my heel. Second toe, pressure down it. Third toe. Fourth toe. Sorry, you can hear my cat screaming in the background. I've got him locked out of the bedroom. Then I pull those toes back and grab that ball and squeeze across the base of those toes. And I grab my big toe and rotate it. Traction and rotation. Traction and rotation on all your toes. And then pressure on the tendons and ligaments and soft tissue between the heel and the ball. Working more medially. Then pressure right here on the medial aspect of your heel. That one hurts for me. And then pressure right on the back portion of your ankle. And when you got that pressure, rotate. Yay. All right. And now I'm going to go ahead and do my hands. If I have forgotten a stretch, I'm sorry. I feel like I've gotten all of them. So on my hands, I'm going to go ahead and maybe get you a little closer. Don't you up a little. on my hands, I take my fingers and I pull them apart. I'm pulling it apart. I'm stretching out all this tissue. So I pull it apart, pull it apart. It pops and cracks. I pull it apart. I pull my thumb down. And then, you know, everybody hurts right in here as we get older. I reach around and pull that down. You want to flatten that hand out as much as you can, grabbing the thumb portion and twisting and pulling. And then you grab from the other side and grab your pinky, going across the top, grabbing your pinky area and pulling. Oh, that's a good release. I don't know if you heard that popping. Same thing, stretching them apart. Stretching them apart. Thumb apart. Go across and grab your thumb and pull it down. Just want to really work on this area. Pull it down, twisting it, pulling it. However you can get that hand flat. And then reach around to grab your pinky area and pull that one across. And then I put my hands around like this because I'm going to stretch this. So I turn them around, stretch backward. And then I put my hands down to where the top portion is on the bed and I stretch backward. So again, like this. And I shake them out. And then I'm done. Hopefully this will help you. I don't know if it will, but it's helped my pain tremendously.